Black women are more likely to be at risk for breast cancer than white women, and black women face a higher breast cancer mortality rate than any U.S. racial or ethnic group. We learn more from Dr. Michele Halyard of the Coalition of Blacks Against Breast Cancer, which is holding an event this weekend offering free mammograms. Doctor, thank you so much for your time talking a serious subject here. Black women more at risk for breast cancer. Why is that?
Well, Black women are more at risk for breast cancer because of a number of factors. We tend to be diagnosed with a later stage of disease. We also tend to have more aggressive disease, including a subtype of breast cancer called triple negative breast cancer, which is particularly aggressive. We also have what we call higher grade disease in general, which tends to be more aggressive. All of these factors play into the fact that Black women are more than 40% more likely to die of breast cancer than other populations, including white women.
And I notice that in the past 20 years, that gap is actually widening here, that the situation is getting worse. Again, why is it? Is it access to health care? Is it access to simple mammograms?
Well, we know that from most of the data that the screening rate for mammograms between Black and white women is actually equalizing, which is good news. But in some situations, there is less access to screening mammography. There's also sometimes less access to treatment, particularly if insurance is an issue. And then there are sometimes health disparities or inequities that occur within the medical system, so that sometimes care is not equal across all racial populations. So all of this can actually play into a widening gap in terms of outcomes with breast cancer.
Do we know yet, probably not as much as you want to know, but is more research being done regarding genetic risk factors and these sorts of things?
Yes, there is a lot of research being done in terms of genetic risk factors. One of the fallacies that many women believe, regardless of background, is that breast cancer is largely an inherited disease, and it really isn't. As far as we know today, only about 5 to 10% of people who are diagnosed with breast cancer carry a genetic risk factor. But it is important for women to actually know their genetic background or their family history in particular, to know if there are certain signs that perhaps they are carrying a gene that makes them more predisposed to breast cancer. On the cancer treatment side, we actually are understanding more about the genetics, or the genomics, as we call it, about breast cancer and the different subtypes of breast cancer, and targeting more precise treatments to treat breast cancers differently.
So with that being said, though, are we learning more about environmental factors?
Yes, we are. The vast majority of breast cancers are not tied to an environmental factor. However, there are some things that we can all do in our own lives to reduce the risk of breast cancer, including decreasing alcohol use, keeping a good weight, so not having obesity, which is an increasing problem in the American population, eating more of a Mediterranean diet, less fats and less meats, exercising more. So there are some things that we actually can do to control, or at least to help lessen our breast cancer risk.
Yeah, that Mediterranean diet, I heard you mention that, and I'm thinking, I've heard, this is not the first time I've heard the Mediterranean diet is kind of the way to go. When you've got both sides with all sorts of wild ideas regarding diet, that seems to be pretty much in the middle as the way to go, huh?
It is. It's a diet that really limits or cuts out red meats, a lot of fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, those types of things, olive oils. So it's a diet that is really healthful and can actually help us in many other ways besides cancer, including reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease, which is actually the #1 killer of women, not breast cancer.
Yeah. Okay, but we're talking breast cancer here. We're talking Black women, and there's an event going on. I believe it is on Saturday from what, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.?
It's from 8 to noon, and this is a partnership between an organization that is called the Coalition of Blacks Against Breast Cancer, which is a local organization that was founded by Mayo Clinic in collaboration with 2 other community organizations, the Phoenix chapter of the Lynx and Sigma Pi Phi fraternity, to address the inequities in breast cancer outcome in Black women and men. and to support them. So the Coalition of Blacks Against Breast Cancer is partnering with Solis Mammography to do a screening event this Saturday from 8 to noon at Solis Mammography. And the reason why we're doing this is to provide women, regardless of whether they have insurance or not, to have the opportunity to get their mammograms. We know with COVID, many people are putting off their mammograms, and we are seeing across the board with cancers later stage of diagnosis. So we really want to make it easy for women to come and get their mammogram.
And where can women find more information?
So they can find more information. There's a phone call. If they want to schedule, they can call 602-245-6388, no later than 4:30 p.m. this Friday.
All right. And location again for the weekend event?
It's Solis Mammography, 1661 East Camelback Road, Suite 140.
Very good. Dr. Michele Halyard with the Mayo Clinic, the Alex School, just doing great work out there. Thank you again so much for joining us with this important information.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.